Hello and welcome to Race 7. It's the Winnings Appliance Trophy and the final race of the Spring Championship. I'm Lisa Darmanin and today we're going to go have a chat to the two teams that are battling it out for the Spring Championship. So I'm here with Jack from Tech 2. You've got a bit of catching up to do today. You've got to get 3 votes between you and Yandu to clinch the title. What's it like sailing handicap when your competitors get a little shortcut?
It can be frustrating at times, actually. Last weekend was pretty frustrating, but I think today it should be pretty even. The nor'easter, I think, gives some of the other guys a good chance, and yeah, we're here to race.
So the 18s, they seem like they have so much raw power. You've had, some very interesting days the last couple of weeks. What's it actually like trying to get a boat like this around the course in 20 knots?
It's good fun. That's why we do it. So yeah, they're definitely a handful, and it takes a lot of time and experience, I think, to understand how you've got to get it around the track when it's windy. But having Louis and Charlie sailing with me makes it pretty easy. So yeah, it's good fun.
What is it like this season with all the new boats, and what's shaping up for the rest of the season?
There's quite a few new teams racing this year, some young talent coming through, which is great to see. I think there's been a few slow starters, people now starting to get their teams together and not having fill-ins, and that can really slow the progress up of your team if you don't have everyone there every week, which we've had. So I think we've had a little advantage there over the last few weeks, having the same team, and we've been putting in some extra work. So yeah, it's really good to see some of the young teams coming through. Excellent.
Any tactics today, or is it just about max speed?
I think it's mostly about boat speed, and the nor'easters it's a proven track, so get off the line cleanly, see how you go.
Well, you know which way to go, so yeah. Good luck and we'll see you out there.
Okay.
Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Lisa.
So I'm here with Woody. You're leading the championship. 1 race to go. You just have to stay in touch with the Tech 2 guys. Any tactics at play?
Well, I don't get too overexcited. We'll just go out there. If we sail a good race, technically we're 1 mark better off, so they've got to keep catching us as long as we don't do anything stupid.
I heard you had an interesting start yesterday in the old 18-footers.
Well, some tell you we're a bit over the line, do they?
That's the rumour. What's the plan for today?
Well, over there is very much like it used to be over here in the old days. And you could come up to the starter and he'd be caught. He'd say, "How are we going?" No, right, you can go, and you could generally milk it for 10 seconds.
So today is a classic sea breeze on Sydney Harbour. What's it like sailing the 18 on a day like today?
Well, it's probably about as good as it gets, really. And I think today could be probably very easily the best day of the season. Not absolutely getting our socks blown off, but I'm pretty sure it'll be a second sail breeze. Just nice champagne sailing.
So you're going to stick it to the young guns then?
Well, never say that. As long as we give them a fright every now and then, it's good.
And what do you think of the fleet so far this year?
Good. Young guys that have just come into it, some of them going very well. It was nice to see them have a go on the fresh day, and for the younger kids, everything they've ever sailed gets called off at 25 knots. So they just don't realise it's pretty good sailing in 30 and 35. And
do they ever come to you for some words of wisdom?
Oh, they sniff around and see what we're doing, but they're all pretty good. They're the junior programs and all that. That turns you into a pretty good sailor.
Yeah. All right, well, sounds like we have a pretty nice race in store for us today.
Hope so. Yeah.
Well, enjoy, and we'll see you out there.
Hold it together and be all good.
So I'm here with Herman from Winning Group. It's been a bit of a rough start to the season weather-wise. How have you guys been going so far?
The team's been going well, the boat's going well, and looking forward to getting into it.
A bit calmer conditions for you today. What can we expect from today's racing?
I don't know, for me, I guess it's really just starting to understand the fleet and who's who in the zoo and what's going on. And yeah, it looks like Tech 2's the one to chase down. So Jack and the team have been doing a great job there. So for us, I guess it'll be seeing how we are for pace with those guys.
So the 18s are a lot bigger in person than they look on television. What's it like with the 3 of you, out on trap, sending it downwind? What's the hardest part about getting around the racetrack?
Trying not to laugh at all the commentary between Sevi and Sam. We're sort of 3 old mates, so we are generally trying to entertain ourselves and keep each other in good spirits. So yeah, there's a lot of laughter on board. We take it seriously a lot of the time, or most of the time, but certainly keeping the spirits high. And when it gets really hairy, rather than fear, we kind of approach that with comedy, I guess.
Well, that's one way to do it. Well, I hope you enjoy today and hope the shoulder goes all right.
Cheers, thanks so much.
Thank you. So I'm here with the Smeg boys. How's the season going so far for you?
Not the greatest of starts, I must say. I had last year off and thought wouldn't be too bad just sort of jumping back in, which I've done it once or twice before where I've had a year off. But yeah, the legs and whatnot and body hasn't held up as well as I had hoped. So we had an interesting first sail. We had about 4 swims, which we weren't too happy about. Last week was a difficult one, big rig, and found ourselves in most holes. So we certainly need to get out and start doing a bit more sailing, but yeah, keen to improve.
All right, you guys are sitting in 3rd place in the Spring Championship, so you can just sort of watch it play out between Tech 2 and Yandu. Who's your pick?
I think Tech 2 is going to be probably slippery around the course, but Yandu, having a shorter distance, I think probably will come home with the bacon.
All right, we'll have fun today and keep the stick in the sky.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Sounds like we have some action in store for us today. We're going to throw now to Olivia Price, who is on the Spectator Ferry.
Alright, okay, so we're live out here for race 7 of the Spring Championship, and boy do we have a race on our hands. We have Yandu in the lead, and they're 3 points ahead of our previous leaders on board Tech 2. Now we've got some great atmosphere on the ferry today, all COVID safe of course, but we do have a little bit of a practice lineup with Tech 2, Finport and Bird and Bear just setting themselves up. Now we had some communication from the start boat just a few minutes ago. We've moved from our regular nor'east course 1 start, and we've moved a little bit further into Rushcutters Bay. Now that's because we have a further right hand breeze and we want to make it really interesting for all of our sailors. So what we've got here is a very great race on board. We're also in board with the far 40s, so that's going to be interesting for our start here. Now we do have a 3 boys handicap, so we have those 3 different marks for each of the fleet. Now the white mark, we have Shaw and Partners Financial Services, the Oak Double Bay 4 Pines, Finport Finance, Winning Group, Bird and Bear and Tech 2. Now going to the blue mark a little bit closer, we have Smeg, Yandu, Andu, Vintech, the Kitchen Maker Caesarstone, Noak Sailing, and then finally to the closest mark, the red mark, we have Appliances Online, Rag and Famish Hotel, Birkenhead Point Marina, who's also our sponsor for the week, and then we have Lazarus Capital Partners, Ilvi and Noakes Blue. Now I'm hearing that we're getting ready for the start, which is fantastic. We have a beautiful 12 knot, maybe a little bit less breeze from the northeast here for race 7 of the Spring Championship. Now as I mentioned, there are very, very tight positions on the leaderboard. So Smeg is sitting in 3rd and they're going to blue. So they're going to go to blue mark, which is middle mark, so that's going to make it really interesting. Now we're inside 4 minutes to go to the start. We have a full 18 boat fleet, which is super exciting. Now, as I mentioned, this is the last of the Spring Championship, and some boats have opted for the full rig, so the #1 rig where they have maximum power and trying to hold on to all of it. So we also have some of the boats using the smaller rig. So there is a little bit of a compromise between having maximum amount of power, so having everyone out on the wire, holding onto as much power as possible, but then we also have lower drag. So I like to explain it kind of like an aeroplane, in that we have the bigger wings of the A380, and so they can go just as fast, but they've got more power. So what we've also got is those little rigs. So we got those little rigs who are a little bit less power, but less drag. So they're more like a little jet. So overall they can go the same speed, but it is different ways of worked their way through the fleet. They were able to be using that red mark, which meant that it was a lot closer to the finish line. So also on board we have out here today, we've got Noakes Blue, a vet, being the only female in the fleet. She's done very well. She had to miss one of the races because she had a sore neck. So, you know, she's been out on the start here. I'm just seeing everyone lining out, which is great. We've got Shaw and partners on the left-hand side, and I'm just going to look out here, so don't mind me. We've got Shaw and partners setting up for a potential left-hand start. We've got Birkenhead Point Marina also down there. Noakes sailing very, very close. Now at the boat end of the line, we've got Yandu, we've got Bird and Bear, and Noakes sailing along with Tech 2. Now, it's awesome vibes here on board the ferry, but what is really happening is the action out here. We've got Vintech, who, as I mentioned, did very well at the beginning of the season last week, and we have, Shaw and partners heading over on that left-hand side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the camera cat take this one away. Thanks for joining us and enjoy the race.
Okay, welcome viewers. Some little technical issues on the camera cat. Sydney Harbour, 15 November 2020. Last heat of the spring point score. The leaders are Yandu and Tech 2. Sparkling nor'easter to make a nice pleasant change. As you would have seen from the front end of our coverage thus far today, we've made some changes to the content as we continue to develop the format and some other technical developments as we head towards the Gilton and early next year. These changes have been encouraged by the major sponsors Winning Group as we compete for eyeballs, attention and relevance locally and globally. As part of that today, we welcome Olympic NACRA medalist Lisa Darmanin into the commentary team. Welcome, Lisa.
Well, it's great to be here. It's been a good introduction to the start with a big split fleet, and you know, Tech 2's behind in a bit of dirty air, and there was a lot of things going on at the port end of the line. So it should be a good race and a bit of catching up to do.
That's dead right. Equally in the fleet today, Lisa, we see a couple of boats with big rig, and most of the fleet with small rig.
I think a lot of them may have been spooked from a few weeks past, so I think the big rigs are going to prevail today. Who can you spot out there with big rigs, Bucko?
Well, the two boats, I think, with big rig, only Winning Group and Tech 2. And the rest of the fleet is small.
Well, it should certainly work for the first beat, but we'll see how it works for the last beat.
Yeah, this race ain't over till it's over, is it ever? Ever. So, and a bit unusually today, because of conflict with other race courses, the start line was laid a little further down the bay than usual, and as you can see from the pictures, there's far 40s racing on the basic same course access, but half the beat length. So their start line quite proximous to where the 18-footer line was laid, and a bit challenging with a different layup to the headland at Bradley's Head. Travelling here was Smeg, just tacking just off the headland
Right now, it's not looking great for Smeg. I think as the course had changed, there is a bit more pressure out on the right, and the boats that are more right seem to be crossing at this point. But let's hope for them that they get a nice left shift to come across.
Well, Smeg didn't start too well. The leader on the track at the moment is Finport, who started at the leeward end, and they're now back to their normal alignment with Bradley's Head. And there usually is slightly stronger wind at the headland itself. But the breeze here around 14 knots, and with some expectation it'll build towards 18 as the day goes on. Weather models a bit wobbly over the last few days.
Yeah, in general, the nor'easter is pretty consistent across the course, but I'd have to say today that it is still quite puffy, and it's going to be about linking the pressures together. I don't think it is going to be as straightforward as some of the guys on shore thought.
No, it looks yeah, a little tricky. You're quite right, and the breeze a little more right than normal in nor'east. Nor'east normally Sydney Harbour, funneling flow down the harbour axis. There's still a little to the right, but as it builds, it will get lined up. You know, it's kind of a cause and effect type thing. But
we should have a little call for water coming on soon, as they're about to hit Bradley's Head. And we've got a little tussle between Shaw and Partners and Winning Group just to windward, with the big rig coming through to leeward.
yeah, winning Group with big sails up. Everybody else sort of tacking simultaneously.
Winning Group just being able to get across the point, whereas the Kitchen Maker having to tack a little bit early. So I think that'll pay dividends for them as well. Right is still looking pretty good in my eyes, though.
Righto, Liz. Well, we're on the right with you. Okay. I'm on the left. Okay. Oh, dear. Yeah, right now it's just below range for the boats for second rig in the lulls, and it's kind of determines how well you go up the beat. In fact, Yandu might do okay here with a slightly different jib setup than most of the boats with a longer footed jib further out on the bow strip. Beautiful tack from the Yandu. Wow.
Tech 2 has actually made a huge comeback here, obviously with Big Rig and heading out to my favourite side, the right-hand side. They've sort of sailed through the fleet a little bit. But, yeah, lots of crosses happening here, and we'll see what happens.
We will. But Finport still leads the race with Little Rig.
Yeah, out on the right-hand side, they're tracking quite nicely. A few crosses here. But, yeah, they look like they have a comfortable lead at the moment.
Yeah, and they started perfectly at the pin, so, you know, you'd expect them to lead. And they're looking quite quick. But there are some holes in the breeze still, so we'll see.
Here we are with Rag and Famish on the screen. So, Bucko, you've tipped them to win the red mark. Is that the one? Okay,
yeah. So
third tier?
Because of our little technical issues, we didn't have time to talk through the situation of our pick the podium situation. But as viewers would know from previous weeks, we have a situation where there's a handicap race and the fastest boats go to a more distant windward mark, and there's 3 windward marks. So there's 3, the fleet is split into 3 groups. And Rag and Famish, just looking at my notes.
So they've made it about to windward of Shark Island now. And I think they are transitioning to the left hand of the course now and trying to get those shifts off the point. Still quite a spread out fleet considering how close they were off the start.
Yeah, a little bit of ebb tide still, so there will be a little bit of advantage there. And the breeze are fairway right, so the right hand side is feasible today.
It seems to be funneling down that right shore at the moment. Usually you see a nice pressure line down the middle of the harbour, but that right shore really looks like it's wrapping around those points.
Yep. And so as we were noting, we were thinking that, you know, Lisa, Tech 2 with Big Rig, we expected them to be able to win the race more or less from the longest marks. Rag and Famish out of the boats going to the shortest marks. and Smeg out of the boats going, group of boats going to the intermediate mark.
So
But-
Winning Group, who we're on eyes on at the moment, they were doing quite well at the beginning of the race, but they seem to have fallen back a little bit, and Smeg has really made gains there. They are heading into the left shore, so it'd be interesting once this cross happens.
Well, Lisa, I think your pick of there being more breeze on the right, and this you see this happen a bit where there's less wind in the middle, because and you know the breeze is a little more left-handed on the edge there, but where we are right now, Nim, not too far away from Smeg and Winning Group, breeze is definitely big rig, whereas on the right edge it looks like it's a little fresher, and Finport digging back into the hard right at Nilsson Park, or aka Shark Point, in what looks like the best pressure on the bay right this moment. Smeg, we're travelling with Smeg, and they're right at the bottom of the range for 3 wires, number 2 rig.
Andu, though, has really hit that point on the left-hand side, just about to have a cross with Smeg. And I think they're actually going to come out in front of Smeg here as we get into light pressure. Today seems to be a pressure day, not so much a shift day.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
There you go. Andu is crossing Smeg at the moment, and it looks like they'll get Winning as well. But on our right-hand side, hard right, Finport is still looking very strong on the whole fleet.
Yeah, with a good bit of, I mean, strangely enough, the best wind direction and the best wind strength. So, interesting times. Yeah, no, they lead by a fair way, don't they, Lise?
Yeah, Tech 2 is also sticking to that right-hand side, and I think Yandu is also over there. So they're Yandu and Tech 2, who are battling out for the Spring Championship, are nice and close together over there.
Yep. And also Noakes Group, who didn't start well at the leeward end, got trapped in row C. They've actually come back at those 2 boats, so you know they're obviously going quite well. Anyway, so there's the 3 boats we've just been talking about: Tech 2, Yandu, and Noakes Group nearest the camera. Yeah, Tech 2 and Yandu, the leaders of the Spring Series, and Yandu going to the middle mark. So Tech 2 needs to lead them by about a minute at the end of the beat.
They also need to get 3 boats in between them to clinch the title off them. So they got a little bit of a buffer there.
Yeah, but that's out of their hands, isn't it? Some degree.
So we've got the cross happening just to our left at the moment between Andu and Finport. Finport is crossing, so that right-hand side is winning at the moment. So Finport looks like they're leading the race with Andu in second.
Yeah, the order on the water is a not loose. Finport, Andu, Shaw and Partners, Tech 2, Smeg. Noakes, Bird and Bear, Kitchen Maker, Winning Group, Noakes. There you go, top 10.
We're on Tech 2 at the moment, and they have a terrible angle and not much pressure coming into this left shore. So they're really struggling here in no pressure.
But over where Smeg is further left, definitely more pressure.
Yeah, it's going to be about linking the gusts today, that's for sure. So Smeg and Finport. So we thought Finport was leading, and here comes the cross. Finport looks like clear cross, so they are still leading, but are going into lighter pressure. And a lot of traffic on the water, so a few waves to navigate as well.
It's interesting, isn't it? Finport might regret this, going into the really bumpy water from 2 big power boats, and not quite enough pressure for 3 strings. Smeg coming back towards the middle.
I'm actually surprised that they didn't tack before Smeg was coming across and Lee bow them and lead them back to the right, because that's where they were a lot stronger.
Yeah. I mean, what Finport's trying to do is join the dots up to the next point up the bay, where there is a bit more pressure and good current as well, the last of the ebb.
Right now, on that shore that Finport is leading to, there is a lot of pressure. I think Shaw and Partners has actually made huge gains by heading right into that shore. That's a boat that we've seen battling quite a lot recently, so they must be a bit relieved for a bit more calmer conditions out here today. So we are heading over to that left-hand shore to see what's happening over here.
Yeah, so the western shore of Sydney Harbour, we'll call it, Liz.
All right.
Okay. Finport's made their way. They've navigated through that nasty bump and a bit of a soft spot. They're now in good full pressure 3 strings second rig. Winning group in arrears by a good 40 seconds or so with big rig. Manly Ferry coming to join the party as well. Who's that?
So there is a very split fleet here. So we've got a few groups working this western shore and a few groups working the eastern shore. From my eyes, what it looks like is that there is a really good angle coming out of this western shore, as well as pressure. It doesn't look like there's huge discrepancies between big and little rig at the moment, though, upwind at least. Where will we see it, upwind or downwind? There will be the big gains to have big rig.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, particularly on the VMG run, the second lap of the course, and sorry viewers, just a reminder, the first lap's a triangle with the jibe mark as more or less Shark Island downwind. Second lap is windward leeward on the course access Clark Island to Salmon Pigs, and the third lap's a triangle again. And I think, Lisa, that if the little rigs lead at the windward mark at the end of this speed, a little rig boat will win the race.
Okay. Well, we just saw that Finport unfortunately had to go through that huge ferry lull, a whole bunch of waves just again. So that's really going to hurt them in this split. But they still look pretty strong on the entire fleet. Oh, Smeg and Tech 2 have gone far right. And they are also looking very strong. So it's going to be, that ferry wake could have really cost Finport.
Yeah, I mean, historically, the way up this bit of the track is to go all the way to the headland to the Port Tack ley line on the left edge because of the little funnel that operates out of Obelisk Bay right up hard, right up near the top mark on the left-hand side. And Finport hasn't dug in deep enough, I don't think.
They're really struggling here. They don't even have 3 guys out on the wire, so that's going to hurt. I think speed is going to be pretty key here. Yep. It does look like there's a little bit of pressure coming, maybe in about 20 to 30 seconds. Yep. But, you know, you might be able to see on the screen, there's a lot of traffic. There's a big yacht. They're probably going to have to avoid them. And, you know, that's just part of sailing on Sydney Harbour.
Yeah. And the Bird and Bear might even lead at the mark here, Liz.
Yeah, they've actually been able to sneak into this pressure and got a nice little lefty and actually have overtaken Finport. So, as you said, going that extra couple of metres was really important.
Yep. And Bird and Bear also going to a short mark, so it's possible.
What it does look like, though, is Smeg and Tech 2, they've gone to the far right-hand side of the course, and I think that Smeg is going to be leading the race before they get to the top mark.
Subject to the unwind.
Yes, exactly.
Good, Liz. Okay, learning fast.
But yeah, they look like super powered up, going really nicely through the water. But it's really interesting that, you know, the skiffs have been bagging each shore, not really working the middle, and just trying to make use of that funneling of the pressure.
Yeah, no, it's still pretty wobbly, this wind, so.
Yeah, so clear cross, Smeg is leading, and Tech 2 should cross Bird and Bear as well. Shore and Partners also doing really well out there on the eastern shore.
So just a product of a little bit of running out of wind and not digging hard enough up into the puff on the left edge there. But as we see, Smeg going around the blue mark, gone. So they lead on the water. Bird and Bear will be second on the water. Tech 2 and Shore and Partners possibly next. And Winning Group is really struggling to make an impression.
So Smeg is off and away, and I think it'd be pretty hard if you were Tech 2 to see them sneak around that mark and head back down the harbour. So that we're off to a triangle, and Bucko has just pointed out to me that he picks Smeg for the winner for the middle group.
And Tommy Woodcock, who's driving the boat today, also picked the Smeg.
So we've got a couple of other boats rounding the mark now, and Do seems the second one with their spinnakers up. Yandu is also just rounded the mark and they're heading downwind. So they're third boat with a kite up, and Tech 2 has not rounded their mark yet.
Tommy, let's go with that group. Yeah.
Sorry, Burden.
So Yandu and then the Kitchen Maker and Noakes have also set kites. So what do we have? We've got Smeg, Andu, Yandu, the Kitchen Maker and Noakes, and the other group has not rounded their mark yet.
So
All right.
that's at the long mark, Tech 2 and Finport. So on the unwind, these other boats have leapt in front of them, and on that basis, it's a long chase for the Tech 2 to try and catch up to Yandu. Complicated problem. And then enough east in the breeze that Smeg has laid down to Shark Point. So just quite a small jibe back onto starboard to then jibe back and lay down to the jibe mark makes it easy. Favoured leg and the easterly bent wind on the right hand side here looking upwind.
So just looking behind us, Tech 2 is absolutely charging down the harbour here. And when I spoke to Jack earlier today, it was about going max speed if they want to try catch up to Yandu and win the Spring Championship.
Okay.
It's very light over on this side of the course where we're sitting right now.
No, it's quite surprising, isn't it? It's sort of it's 10 to 14. As you just saw, Kitchen Maker going away from us here. Yandu now. And they've got good pressure, Lisa, downwind from where we are on the camera cat.
And angle, so I don't think they'll sneak around the point quite so much.
Yeah.
They might have to do a jibe to make the triangle, or you reckon one and in?
No jibe.
No jibe, one and in. All right.
No jibe with a little rig in, so that tells you that the boats with big rig will probably have quite a hard time getting up to the jibe mark.
It's interesting though, Smeg did do a double jibe. So Smeg has jibed, so they might have a lot of problems trying to make it to this jibe mark.
Yeah, because the wind will be bent a little bit further right coming out of the Rose Bay here, Lisa, so it'll be an interesting time, this next little dig into the jibe mark.
So the Kitchen Maker could be looking quite good here. They're just going to sneak around the point, and Yandu has done. They're a lot lower, so they might. Oh no, we're going to see the Kitchen Maker going to have to jibe here. I think not going to quite sneak around that point. So we'll see a little starboard for them, and then they'll be jibing back.
Yeah. So and what happened there? Yandu in the first part of the run just got more pressure, was able to soak, true VMG running style away from the shoreline, and hasn't had to jibe, but they're now lining up for a bit of tricky stuff here.
Would you track that down to experience?
Old age and treachery beats youth at all times.
In front of us, you can see Smeg absolutely struggling all up on their ear there to make it around Shark Island. So they've got, hull out of the air, flogging the chute, just trying to make that point. Yandu comfortable, but they do have an issue with a ferry here, one of the joys of sailing on Sydney Harbour.
A cruising boat and a ferry, who would have thunk it? And it looks like Smeg down to leeward there's having a bit of trouble.com.
They're going to have to drop that spinnaker and work their way back up, and that's going to cost them a lot. So that jibe was not a good decision.
Thanks, Lisa. Good. But it's tricky, and I had a chat with Lisa before the race, whose primary experience is jibing downhill in catamarans, but also sails a 13-foot skiff. And I did mention the jibe angle here was a difficult one to pick, and we're seeing that now demonstrated pretty vividly with Yandu getting a bit of luck and a bit of judgment, and not having to jibe or drop the chute. The race leader Smeg, and in third Andu, done a good job. I think these guys might just have to do a little bit of ragging.
I think it was about patience. You had to be at a bit of light pressure at the beginning. Oh, okay, here we've got Andu. They're going to have to drop that kite to get around this island.
Yep. So just one puff differential, Lisa, and you see what happens. the Andu in the emergency drop situation, and they're about to go on the tide here.
Getting
Spinning.
that kite in the water is the last thing you want when you have an island coming up very quickly. But
Yep. No, and that's a kamikaze Mexican drop that's gone a bit pear-shaped.
oh, that's super disappointing for them. They had such a nice run and one gust
No,
got them come unstuck.
They've saved it. Amazing. A quick tack. Nothing could go wrong.
Okay, well, while they sort their stuff out, let's see what's happening behind us. I think we've got Tech 2 where the big rig has absolutely made huge gains, one and in down to this mark. No issue. So as you can see there, they were well behind this whole group and have just mowed them down. So, you know, Yandu is in second and Tech 2 is just charging down here and is going to get the kitchen maker as well. So they must have made about 10 boats on that downwind.
Yeah, Tech 2, perfect angle through the difficult zone, and big rig up, and they will continue to gain in the remainder of the run. But Smeg and Yandu are down around the corner mark. A VMG run now for the bottom reach, Lisa, so Tech 2 all gains. But as you can see, nothing easy about it.
No, but we can see Andu has popped back up. So they've saved that capsize and they are going to sneak around this mark, but Tech 2 is going to struggle if they get any big puffs coming through here. I think these guys do have the experience to be able to do an easy jibe around this mark and no problems for them. So we're not seeing them jibe directly around the mark. They'll go for a bit and then pick their ley line. So where are we heading to next after this, Bucko?
Down to Clark Island where the start line sort of was. I'm not sure whether they relayed the bottom mark or not. So Tech 2 on a charge here. And out of the black boats, I think we're in unanimous agreement that Tech 2 is going to win that division, and that looks to be the case.
Here they go for the jibe to get over Kitchen Maker. So that was a forced move by Kitchen Maker to Tech 2. But I think the bigger rig, they're going to want that pressure and they'll just soak down over the top of these boats. If we look behind us, all the rest of the boats are coming around the jibe mark. Winnings Group has made huge gains as well with their big rig. Nice close racing behind us, but the leaders have definitely legged out in this race.
Yep, true VMG run down to the bottom here, we think. We can't actually see the mark from where we are. Looking in the distance, we can see Yandu. Miraculous effort from the Yandu boys to get the chute out of the tide, do a quick involuntary tack, not go in the drink, get going. Winning Group also marching on them downwind here, so the top 5, Smeg, big jibe into the bottom mark, Yandu needs to jibe in, Kitchen Maker, Tech 2, Andu, Finport, Winning Group, Shaw and Partners, Vintech, Lazarus Capital Partners, The Rag, Ilvi, Bird and Bear, saw greatness and ran from it, and Noakes Blue bringing up the tail.
What's quite interesting is some boats have jibed directly around the mark, whereas some boats have chosen to go 100, 200 metres. And I actually think that going 200 metres past the mark and jibing is paying off because there's a bit of a lull under Shark Island and that's hurting their angles. So if we look in the distance, I think that Smeg is still clear ahead, but those that went further definitely made gains.
Yep. Why don't we follow Bird and Bear for a tick here?
So we're just rounding out the back of the fleet here and heading over to Bird and Bear. They're not fully stretched on the boat here on Bird and Bear, having to bend their knees and just navigate these lulls.
Yeah, no, they're just in a little lull. They're in a puff now, and it's very spiky, the breeze, isn't it, Lisa? So, you know, the breeze there went from 8 to 14 in a nanosecond. But, you know, the optimum, when you're under-rigged a little bit as they are, the optimum is not to use all the riding moment in the lull. So that was all sensible stuff from them. Just bring the apparent wind to about 80 degrees. Apparent wind just in front of the boat.
So just off screen, Smeg's just rounded the bottom mark and Yandu is clear in second.
Tommy. So intercept Smeg on the beat.
So Yandu made big gains down that run by going further. It'd be interesting, considering that the Eastern Shore was paying early on, whether we see them hit Bradley's now that they're not as low in the harbour as the start was.
Yeah, but Lisa, if you look upwind, what do you think the wind's done down this run?
It's definitely funneling down the harbour a lot more. I do think that hitting Bradley's and tacking and sticking to the Western Shore is going to pay early on, and then once you get to about halfway up, you've got to make the transition to the Eastern Shore.
Right, Lisa's now the tactician. I've lost my job. Good on you. I'd probably agree with you, but it does look like it's about 2 knots more wind over the whole course.
Okay, so the top 3 at the bottom are Smeg, Yandu, and then Tech 2. So Tech 2 was well behind at the top, but that didn't seem to really hurt them that they had to go to a mark further away.
No, and they sailed very well down that run, didn't they? So, again, good demonstration of accuracy from them, and they puzzled out the wind pattern under Nelson Park to their considerable advantage.
But they are going to have an issue if they're going to try win the Spring Championship, because they need to get 3 boats in between them and Yandu is currently in front of them. So even if they win this race, Yandu's doing too well. So
yeah, and Yandu's got the benefit of an unwind every lap. So, and we do expect the end of the race, Lisa, wouldn't we? The breeze up another 2 knots above what's here now. So
it's definitely picked up from the start, I would say, and
Yeah.
definitely more consistent across the whole course.
Yeah.
I think we're still going to get those big lulls, but you're just going to have to try avoid them.
Yeah, so at the bottom mark, it's actually not all that windy. And Tech 2 for a brief while there, coming out of the bottom, didn't look even comfortable with big rig up in terms of wind strength. So interesting situation, but
We've got a
plenty.
busy mark rounding on the screen now with everyone tussling around. The bottom mark there. Most people is a huge procession at the bottom mark. So everyone just, rounding, going straight and hitting that shore, keeping it simple.
Yeah, no, there's only one way to go on this bit of the time-honoured track. There's railway tracks in the bottom they have to follow, mate. Come on. So just let's go through the top 10, Lisa, I think. We'll see. The margins are about first to second, about 30 seconds, second to third about 40 seconds, and the peloton is about another 2 minutes adrift, except for Kitchen Maker, which is in 4th place on the water. Lisa, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. Just go through them.
Okay, we have Smeg is in first, Yandu is in second. We've got Tech 2 charging along in third. Kitchen Maker is happy in 4th. And then we've got 5th, 6th and 7th very close together with Fitport, Winning Group and Andu. 8th is Shore and Partners, 9th is Vintech, and rounding out the 10th, it's very close between, can't even pick it. We'll have to tell you at the top.
So, Lisa, looking at this now, Winning Group just upwind where we are on the camera cat, fully inverted with the mainsail in the little compression at Bradley's Head here now, which is evidence that the breeze will build and solidify as the afternoon wears on. So big rig is now a bit of a problem, I think. The little rig boats will increase their lead up this beat.
I mean, Winning Group's got the height at the
Tommy.
moment. But they definitely don't have the go forward, and that's really going to hurt them on the next leg. They obviously have the experience though to deal with it. Is there anything else they can do to depower?
Setup looks a little bit too deep to me, but yeah, they'd be pretty solid cutting them, and I think it works about the same as a knacker rig, doesn't it?
I don't think we get that much rag, but we might have stiffer battens.
Good on you, all right.
So Andrew, actually, yeah, definitely doing better with the smaller rig there. And after that little mishap around Shark Island, you know, they must be really happy with this position.
Yeah, they'd be saying that wasn't so bad after all.
Bit of team bonding, I think.
Yeah.
There's still a bit of a wind shadow behind this point, though. I'm quite surprised. I think that those that tack out early might actually do a bit better.
No, you can go all the way. When you're lying up to the white light, you can go and touch it, okay?
All right, well, Shaw and Partners tacked out, so we'll see what happens. Prove me wrong. I think if you're to windward of it and can clear the point, it'd be really nice. But if you're under it, I think there's just a little bit of a shadow.
No, it's okay to hear. Down there, not good.
All right, so we've seen Winnings and do tack out. And, you know, Winnings is really lost on that leg. Smeg and Yan do well up the course on the eastern shore near Shark Island at the moment.
So, Lise, probably we're at the turn of the tide here. Water starting to smooth out, in fact, except for all the powerboat wash.
I think the tacticians on board, they're obviously looking for shift and pressure, but part of their job is picking the course of least resistance on a day like today in Sydney Harbour.
Well, Lisa, you're in charge. I mean, you're going up the right edge, aren't you?
Well, I said you want to cross, get in the pressure and head to the left, and about, I don't know, halfway up, that's when we're going to transition. So Smeg is sort of going right up the harbour now, as is Yandu. Be interesting to see if they go into that point again or they head to the eastern shore.
Well, you know, as you'd observe, these boats are fairly expensive to tack. You know, the tack loss is probably about the same as a Nacre, you think, roughly?
I think they may be a bit quicker than us.
Depending how good you are, of course.
So it's a bit of procession at the moment.
No,
There's not
I think we should
any overtaking lanes.
stay with Tech 2.
I think we'll see more overtaking as we go downwind, but the fleet is really spreading out and there's a lot of loose covers going on. Smeg's just coming back across the fleet at the moment to make sure that they've got everyone covered, but they've got a very comfortable lead and just keeping it really simple.
Yep.
We're on Yandu at the moment on the screen, who will be very happy with their performance and choice of rig, I'm sure. They've also got a very comfortable lead between them and third place.
Finport probably would have preferred Big Sail in hindsight, but...
Yeah, it's unfortunate they were doing so well up the first beat, but really lost out. I think they struggled a little bit on that downwind, and they really didn't have a lot of luck going upwind with all those ferry wakes. So they'll be a bit disappointed with falling back, but we'll see what happens. Yandu on your screen now. Oh no, now we've flicked to Tech 2, so we're going to see a bit of a cross between Tech 2 and Yandu. Tech 2 is definitely mowing them down, in my opinion. What do you reckon, Bucko? They're going to get them by the top mark?
Well, here's a look at the rig. They're fully inverted in the puffs. Yandu shouldn't be any slower than them, and as we noted though, Yandu benefited the unwind up the top, so that tells you the last beat's going to be a bit untidy, don't you think?
Well, it's definitely going to make for exciting racing for the people at home. But, you know, it's really interesting when you've got Tech 2 on the screen, that mainsail's fully ragging. They've got quite a bit of windward heel there, keeping it nice and flat, if not over flat. Is that the way to sail these things?
If you can. If you can. No, it's good technique. It is good technique. They sail better upwind heeled slightly to windward, and they even sail better downwind slightly heeled to windward.
Excellent.
Okay. There's some aero factors involved and probably some hydro as well. But,
so from my eyes, that main sheet is not moving much at all. So what are the blokes doing on that boat?
Well, you know, it's sort of you know, the main sheet load stabilises the head stay to a significant extent. So if you can sail with the main sheet held on, the jib won't deepen. If you have to ease it, the jib deepens slightly. So you're just trying to minimise the amount of movement, and you do that by obviously a bit of steering, a little bit of Cunningham eye, and a little bit of jib twist, more or less, yeah? If you can get it so you don't have to move the main sheet at all, you're having a good day.
Excellent. We're on Smeg at the moment on screen, and they just seem like they're taking it easy, just rolling over the 420s over there, not really having to race anyone else. So just keeping it simple and keeping a loose cover on everybody. They'll be pretty happy with their rig choice, I imagine.
Yeah, a bit unfair, Smeg, having the benefit of the intermediate marks for, you know, a crew of that quality, shall we say. So they've had a couple of incidents in the really windy races in the first part of the season. But today they're enjoying a nice comfortable sail, probably slightly under-rigged, but off the middle marks they're having an easy day at this point. Their lead over Tech 2 right now about probably the thick part of 2.5 minutes, just looking at it on the water.
So it has gotten a little bit lighter at the top of the course compared to the bottom of the course. Tech 2 has mowed down Yandu quite a bit, but they're still going to have a comfortable lead, seeing as they have to go to the lower mark.
Yep. And what we're seeing, Lisa, here is less wind in the middle of the harbour for some reason, which is quite difficult to understand. As if there's a little compression off both shores, and in the middle, where the, you know, slightly divergent breezes mix, softer pressure. And Yandu going back to the east to cover Tech 2 and to stand back into the slightly stronger pressure on the eastern shore.
Yeah, we saw last beat that those went late to the western shore really struggled with pressure. So definitely all of the boats seem to be favouring this western shore, except Kitchen Maker's taking a flyer on the western shore. So Yandu, loose cover on Tech 2, just need to stay in touch with them to clinch the championship.
Yep.
No ragging going on that sail at the moment.
No, just very comfortable mid-range, main sheet all the way in, rig not flattened, all pretty nice, really.
All our eyes are on Smeg. So you were saying before that the handicap system, you know, they had a few spills. Does the handicap system change each week?
Yeah,
based
so
on your results?
Yeah, they get an adjustment if they win. Obviously, in theory, about 3 minutes. But really what happens under the system they're using now is they swap from one group to the other group. And the mighty Smeg. Today, Michael Cox and Ricky Bridge and Trent Barnabas off effectively 4 or 5 minutes is a bit unfair on the rest of the fleet.
So what you're saying is they've used the handicap system well in their favour to only win the last race.
Yeah. They did have some challenges in the 2 really windy races. No, yeah, primarily David O'Connor was steering, and they did get on the podium in one of the windy days, but the other day they had an impatient bear away at the windward mark and went in the tide about 3 times, I think. But anyway.
So they're just approaching the top mark now. So we'll soon see a nice bear away. Looking back at Tech 2, they are, you know, they're gaining a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be enough to have to go to the further mark. And Yandu has gone right into the shore behind us, and they are actually quite struggling. So I think Tech 2 is going to make up huge ground on them, just charging in this lighter period in the middle of the harbour where the marks are with that big rig.
Well, here's the puzzle a bit, Lisa. The Tech 2 doesn't mind a bit less wind. They want less wind, in fact. When the mainsail's fully inverted, the boat's starting to slow down from too much drag, as you noted. Whereas Winning Group thinks the strongest wind, Yandu thinks the strongest wind is on the eastern shore, and also the most right-handed wind. So they're happy. Tech 2 probably trying to minimise tax as well, because as you get up range, the tax get relatively more expensive.
They're looking pretty comfortable at the moment in this pressure. But right now we are on Smeg further up the course on the screen, and they're looking real light. I think even bending these up there. So it's an interesting day on Sydney Harbour. It's not really building like we would expect. So they're going to have their thinking caps on.
Yeah. So for the viewers, there should be enough, the temperatures in the western suburbs of Sydney today that drive, the sea breeze. Temperatures would be above 30, low 30, 32 or something like that in Parramatta, Penrith, and the water temperature is about 20, 21. So there's enough thermal gradient that we'd expect that the breeze will build, but it might be just later in the day for whatever reason today. Quite cool, the air off the ocean, and the old timers used to believe that the sea breeze would strengthen with a change of tide.
Okay, well, we're due for a change of tide right about now, so we'll see what happens. But Smeg is, we got Tech 2 now coming across back towards the marks. And we do expect a pretty nice downwind here, but we don't have a triangle this lap. We have straight down to the bottom. So we're going to have to see a few jives and picking those pressure lines and staying in the pressure for the downwind. How much are they going to lose on the jives?
Oh, nothing. No, the big rig's easier to jibe than the little rig.
All right, so this could be an interesting downwind.
Yeah, no, you'd expect that Tech 2 will gain about 1 minute on Smeg, possibly. A bit less, perhaps 40 seconds.
Okay, well, they're just coming to a cross against Yandu at the moment, and they're looking like it's going to be very close. I think they're either going to have to tack or do a duck. It's going to be very close here. All eyes on this. Oh, it looks like a clear cross for Tech 2, so they must be very happy with themselves. So Yandu did lose a lot by going really into that eastern shore. But here they go. They get to go to a shorter mark.
Yep, so Smeg leads.
Smeg on the screen at the moment. They'll be happy. They're away.
They're gone. So Smeg's going to lead Yandu here by 1 minute, and by the time Tech 2 goes to the further mark, the gap between those two boats will be about another minute.
It's going to be really hard to navigate this downwind. What we've got on the harbour, we've got tasers, we've got fins, we've got ferries, we've got 18-foot skiffs, we've got yachts, and we've got every man and his dog out here. So it's going to be tricky to navigate this downwind, but they look like they're in quite a bit of control.
Yeah. So, the guys are just fully VMG run mode. There's enough wind that second rig's not going to be that bad. The big rig just gets you a little deeper. No faster, just deeper. But obviously better VMG. So Finport just near us on the camera cat, really struggling for pressure. Just in a little lull. Yeah, I think we got to go with Tech 2, haven't we?
Okay, so Yandu has rounded the mark and they're on their way, but we've almost lost sight of Smeg. They're well down the course. Tech 2 is still making their way up. Finport seems to have made a few little gains up this beat by working this right-hand shore, and Kitchen Maker has lost a little bit. So I think we might think about heading downwind shortly.
We're going to wait for Tech.
Once Tech 2 rounds the mark. So they have not rounded the mark yet. So this long course for them is really going to hurt. They have to work really hard upwind to make that ground that they lose due to the handicap system. But the handicap system seems to be working. Everyone's coming out quite even at the top. We've got Yandu on the screen at the moment, having a great time going downwind. Off screen at the moment, yeah, Kitchen Maker absolutely having one with losing that spinnaker. They got it to the top, looks like the cleat's blown and it's gone in the water. So they're not going to be too happy with that. Lucky it's not too windy and no capsizes here. Shortly we'll be coming on to Tech 2, who have their kite set up as well. So they're going to be trying to mow down the boats that got to round the earlier marks.
And I don't know if you noticed, Lisa, but their set was worthy of the highlights reel, I think.
Wouldn't expect anything less from what I've seen so far.
That's correct, isn't it? Yep.
So we've got Louis Brake on the bow there, having no problem with that spinnaker load.
So, Chits, just talk to Tommy about how close we are, mate.
on board with Tech 2 at the moment. They're just cruising. They're making this look easy.
It is easy when you know how. It's like everything.
So they're trying to mow down these other boats in front of them, but they're definitely going a lot lower, but they don't look as lit up. It's quite light up here at the moment, and we can expect a few jives. If it was me, or if it was you, I wouldn't be going across the middle, probably be trying to get halfway down to Shark and then thinking about getting across to Bradley's side where it funnels down. But
well, there's enough east here, Lisa, that Tech 2's bow is nearly, straight at the bottom mark at the moment. That tells you how far right the breeze is.
definitely not your usual nor'easter.
No, so they're in optimum VMG mode with the mainsail, pretty much on the centre line, but all the walls streaming, nice windward heel, and they've passed Andu and Kitchen Maker already as a result of that.
They may have a little bit of an issue with port starboard here. Yep, so we're going to see a jibe. They were not going to cross Andu. So easy jibe, they'll roll over the top of them, no problem. These guys know what they're doing. Once they get to windward of them, they gained about 200 metres of depth down the ladder run. So I'll expect them to soak over Andu and try get that jibe and cross in.
Yeah, but Lisa, I don't think they would have gone the wrong way if they had thought the other jibe was favoured. Jack, brings a pretty good sense of discipline about, to know what the right answer is and do it, But clearly they'll just be able to get probably down around the bow of Andu here.
We do have a Birkenhead point coming upwind at the moment as well, but they should clear them. Could get a little bit tricky here. But yeah, happy. I think once Andu jives, Tech 2 will jive. I'm not sure they're going to get the jive and the cross in for at least a couple of 100 metres.
Yeah, Tech 2 will go all the way to the far shore here, I think, or nearly so, yeah. And not be too unhappy about it.
They got a beautiful angle there. You can see on the screen, just rolling over Andu. Andu getting a bit of dirty wind there, which I'm sure they won't be happy with. But considering their last downwind, this is a much cleaner one. On board on Andu at the moment, they're all quite high on their trapeze. All eyes are looking over their shoulders, looking for the next bit of pressure. What are they going to do?
Well, they're all just trying to find the most wind, and
Smeg is absolutely gone down the harbour there. No one is going to be catching them anytime soon.
No, that's right. But you'd imagine from here they're pretty close to the ley line, wouldn't you? And,
so Tech 2 going for the jibe there. That's a clear cross on Bradley's head. I'm surprised Andu is keep going because they're going to be sitting in a bit of Tech 2 gas there. With that little rig and that high mode, you'd expect them to have gone early, but they're just about to flick. And here we go with Tech 2. They're getting in some nice pressure now. They're going to have an interesting cross with the Kitchen Maker who's coming across.
Tech 2 on the ley line, let me tell you.
But they're going to have a tight cross on Bradley's, but I think they'll be absolutely fine.
No, they've already made a call to themselves that they're going to be around the back of Kitchen Maker here. So you see that they anticipated that, Lisa. They just put the bow up just for a sec.
Kitchen Maker jibing on them, but that will not be an issue because Tech 2 has the pace on. Kitchen Maker's really slow out of that jibe, so no dirty wind for Tech 2. I think they'll just keep soaking, no problems. Nice little main sheet pumps on those waves by the sheet hand, just trying to really use them to their full advantage. They're working a lot of main sheet downwind. I wouldn't have expected that, but is that what you would expect, Bucko?
No, I'd be putting it in a cleat.
These guys wouldn't have a cleat on this boat. They're quite powered
Yeah,
up.
well, here's the thing, Lisa. They are at the ley line, and so they're just arbitraging away towards what they think the best final approach is here. Only about another 2.5 minutes sailing to the bottom mark. And they've slightly overstood, as you would notice.
Definitely overlay. They do have a little bit of dirty wind from Kitchen Maker, but that's the least of their issues at the moment. I think once they clear Bradley's, we expect it to get a little bit lighter towards the bottom mark. But yeah, one jibe and in, easy job done. Smeg
Yeah.
is about 300 metres off the bottom mark at the moment, ahead of us in our screen. We're expecting very similar positions at the bottom mark as we saw last lap. So bit of a procession. Everyone knows what they're doing. No surprises here. Here you go, Kitchen Maker. So they're just to windward of Tech 2. They're going to have to avoid this boat, sending the bowman in just to get below them. They will have to do a jibe to the bottom mark. But with this jibe to the bottom mark, that'll be quite nice because they can jibe, get their speed going and come into that mark really tight. If you come in too close to the mark, it's a big call to have to do a big 180.
Yeah, so Tech 2's just working on trying to get about a 4 boat length radius, enough time for a good jibe drop. And they're probably pretty close to the money, I'd say.
It's pretty hard to call a ley line from all the way out there.
Yeah. Big ley line call, you're quite right. But that's where the money shot is, isn't it? It's like, if you get it right, it's worth quite a bit.
So you can see the Kitchen Maker on the screen now, just rolling over Tech 2. They've done quite well here, picking that ley line. Tech 2 in a little bit of dirty breeze, but pretty happy with that big rig. In the end, it's going to be a close bottom mark between these two boats, I think, depending on how they execute their jibes. We've just about got Smeg rounding the bottom mark, and it's very light down there in front. So I'd say Tech 2 will be taking all the depth they possibly can, although they do have a bit of an issue with the yacht. You can see big flog on the chute, having to go around this yacht on the front of our on the screen now. So once they'll be that, they'll take all the depth possible to try soak below the Kitchen Maker.
Kitchen Maker into a good header around their bow. How about that?
Not a good time for a yacht to come across your bow.
No, not at all. Tech 2 right under pressure here now.
Here we go. That's the gust the Kitchen Maker was in, but they will round behind them, well overpowered, well overlay. Even got the arm out for that extra bit of riding moment. Could be a bit straighter.
So an uncharacteristic error there from Tech 2 to overstand by about, what do you reckon, 150 metres?
Yeah, they did.
No,
I just think that the pressure was a lot lighter up the top of the course, so they probably didn't expect it to accelerate so much. But it is getting a lot lighter down the bottom, so I think they will be okay, or they'll probably have to go for an early drop.
Yeah, I think they'll. They're shaping up as if they're going to get enough room for a jibe drop, which is a preferred method, really. So they wouldn't be completely unhappy with that, right? Because, you know.
No, I mean, they had a really tight cross with both Kitchen Maker and Andu that forced that jibe originally. So, you know, they haven't really lost, haven't really gained from that first quarter of the beat. Here we go. We got Kitchen Maker has just jibed and will be coming into your screen shortly. It's going to be Tech 2 rounding just in front of them if they execute this jibe drop, which I'm sure they were if their handiwork is anything to go by. Here we go, Tech 2 going for the drop now. They will be rounding in third, Kitchen Maker in fourth, and Andu in fifth. Smeg and Yandu well out in front, happy lead, no problem there. Right now, screen Andu having a bit of an issue. They are getting a little bit unstuck today. We've got a bit of yelling going on at the bottom mark here, telling Kitchen Maker to go up, but easy rounding. Maybe a little luff here at the bottom mark by Andu. A few cheeky smiles, and they're all sitting in the gas of Tech 2.
Well, that was a regulation 18-footer mark rounding, Lise. A bit of crash and bang and a bit of yelling. Nothing abnormal about that. But pretty nice work from Tech 2, yeah?
So you got Rag and Famish, who was your pick for the third boat. They're coming in with a nice lead on the rest of the fleet. So fleet has really spread out here. No problems here. A few interesting manoeuvres at the bottom mark here, sucking that kite in. Bit of skiff royalty on that boat, you told me?
So the Rag and Famish today, Anthony Young, Otto Henry and Pete Nicholson. And Lisa, Otto Henry on the main sheet, an interesting young man.
Yeah, so Otto is a pretty young sailor, very successful in Opti and 420s. Obviously, be a big jump to an 18-foot skiff from those boats. But I'm sure he's enjoying the opportunity. I think it's great to see the young guys in here, especially when they get to jump on with some veterans that know what they're doing and upskill them fast.
And, you know, I think a terrific initiative in a sense of you know, the class needs new young blood. And, you know, it's a big call to be an 18-year-old shooting in one of these things. How much do you reckon he weighs? Did you check in on that?
No, I think he's grown a little bit. I reckon he's just around 70 kilos, maybe a bit more. He's definitely filling out.
Okay.
But that's probably why they're running the little rig today. No questions asked on that boat. But what I've seen across the fleet here is you can see the teams that have probably sailed together for quite a bit of time are much cleaner in those jives, those drops, all those things that are really important. So, you know, Charlie and Louis that are on Tech 2, they've sailed together in the past on the 49er, and they've just slotted in really nicely to that team with Jack.
Yeah, probably nothing like going around the course with the same three blokes about 50 times to improve things. Yeah.
I mean, it's hard enough coordinating two people, but to coordinate three people out on the wire like that in a very tippy boat in shifty conditions has to be challenging.
Yep. Absolutely correct with that. So there's... Okay.
So we're just on board with the rag at the moment. They look pretty relaxed, pretty nice twist profile on that mainsail. No ragging happening there on the rag.
No, it looks nice, doesn't it? Deepened up, and just having a bit of a discussion with a powerboat being driven very badly. Tommy, do you know the owner of that boat?
Hey? No, I don't.
Everyone just wants a bit of action to the 18-foot skiffs. I think it is the joys of Sydney Harbour. I mean, it's a beautiful harbour to be on, but it is tricky to navigate at times when everybody else wants to be on the water too. It's still quite puffy. You really don't want to get too much windward heel in these boats as you approach those lulls, because I imagine if you dig that wing in, it's not going to be pretty.
No, you've got to be very careful, and you can almost rate the finish order by the inverse of the number of wing dips you have. The winner, 0. The last guy, 20. But the rag there... Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so we might head up the course and see what's happening at the top of the leaderboard, but from what we can see down here, Smeg, comfortable lead. They're basically doing the exact same tactics as they did last time. Hit Bradley's, hit Shark, go back. Yandu is still in second comfortably, but as we would expect, as per last lap, Tech 2 is mowing everybody down, extending their lead from Andu and Kitchen Maker.
So, Lisa, looking upwind, and this breeze has rotated back to the right and gotten colder. So, and looking upwind, there's some little brown clouds as well. So this is now makes the top reach into Shark Island on the next downwind leg even more difficult than the first time.
Well, what we've learned is be patient and do not jive. If you can sneak around Neeson Park, then you're off. But here we are with the Tech 2 boys. So Yandu clear across there, but huge gains by Tech 2 up that beat. Yandu went quite far into the western shore, and I think they've lost a bit here. So what I'm expecting is a loose cover of Yandu on Tech 2, not getting too much separation. But when I spoke to Woody earlier today, he just said he was going to go out there and have fun. Here we go, the tack, loose cover, playing by the book. You can see the spectator ferry in the background there. I'm sure everyone's enjoying themselves on the harbour there and enjoying the show, having a few drinks whilst they're at it.
And the spectator quite well patronised today for an ordinary handicap race, but here we are travelling with Yandu now, and they're looking fairly comfortable. Last beat they looked like they sort of close to maximising jib luff sag, and not too sure now, but the breeze where they are, probably only 13, 14 knots.
Looks like the Western Shore is looking quite good at the moment pressure-wise. Looking like it's getting quite light on the right. So sort of funneling down that harbour like we'd expect. And a bit more pressure up the top of the course, unlike last lap.
Yeah, and a tight reach for the into the back of the island, where we saw big losses and gains on the first lap.
So we're heading up to the top mark, and then we're finishing with a triangle and downwind finish. So it's looking like it is in the bag for Yandu, but as a wise man told me, it's not over till it's over, especially as the arms get tired, the brain gets a bit foggy, and the sheet hand gets a bit clumsy.
Now, I'm not sure it's not the other way around, Lisa. The arms get foggy and the brain gets tired, you know. No, I mean, it hasn't been a really tough day, but tough enough still. 3 2-mile beats, about 17, 18 minutes a beat is enough. Enough.
So who do we have on board Yandu? Is it the usual crew setup? Because they're looking pretty comfortable there.
Yeah, John Winning, Jasper Warren, aka Fang, and Mike Kennedy in the bow. So same old lineup, and they've been terrific. And Fang is the most recent addition to the crew.
So he knows his way around a skiff, though?
He does. And he's, as we've said a few times, been pretty good for them. But it's a bit of a worry that he's the youngest fellow, you know.
So we're seeing a bit of a pattern what happened the first beat. The wind's changed back, as we mentioned earlier. Smeg is hitting this Western Shore, as is Tech 2 and Yandu and the Kitchen Maker. So everyone is loving this Western Shore at the moment. Good pressure and good angle, it seems.
Yeah, so the 3 boats of the podium essentially in the same piece of water. Tech 2 not really making much of an impression. They have gained a little. Interesting they've chosen all to come to the left edge though, Lisa, isn't it? They weren't listening to you. Silly boys.
As long as they're sticking together on this leg, I think it's all about just managing the fleet. I think the first one, you got a little bit of flexibility, go with the pressure, go with what your eyes can see, and then after that, it's just, you know, staying between your competitors in the next mark. It's not that hard, right? But Tech 2 has made huge gains here. I think they've closed a lot of ground on Yandu. It's not really going to be an issue with the handicap system. I think it'll be quite close at the bottom. But yeah, Tech 2 charging up on this lighter upwind. Not so much ragging the sail, but just really locking it in and steering the boat. A few big puffs still coming down though. And it's about, you know, just maximising those gusts for Yandu and trying to get over the top of Tech 2. We'll probably see a synchronised tack, I'd say. If Tech 2 goes, I would expect Yandu to lead them back. They're not going to be able to get to windward to be able to cover, so a lead back is expected. But in saying that, they do have the big rig, so they will have to take that into consideration. They definitely don't want to get rolled over. We might see the tack now. There's a bit of pressure coming down the course. They're going to be looking for their ticket across, but not want to have too much separation between them and Tech 2.
Well, Lisa, I mean, just the beginnings of flood tide here probably, so just, you know, plenty of relief on this edge and good pressure just at the headland itself, as we see now. Both boats in or a puff, and the breeze up to about 14. And your prediction is about to arise here, I think.
Oh, they're going to go for the cross. So they're going to tuck in to the shore a lot more than Tech 2, which is what you called was the classic hit the port ley line, hit the point, one and in.
Yeah, except they're short of the lay because the breeze is too far right.
I think that Tech 2 and Yandu have actually caught up to Smeg a little bit here. Smeg struggling for pace, maybe getting a little bit unstuck, or just taking it easy because they've got all that extra time. Why stress too much? When you're in front, stay in front. Easy job done.
They boiled the billy on the beat and, made a cup of tea, I think. But,
Really loose cover there by Smeg. They're really comfortable here. They should have no problems keeping this lead. Yandu and Tech 2 should have a good little tussle across here, but I think it is going to be 1, 2, 3, as we see on the screen at the finish would be my pick. And that's so long as no one does anything silly. But as we said, something silly can happen pretty quickly.
well, don't forget that the winning group's got a bigger. the Yandu's got a bigger unwind than the Smeg. They'll be very close on the water.
Oh, well, that will make for an interesting downwind. We'll make sure we stick close to
Yep.
them. Smeg in really light pressure across this middle of the course. Everyone is, crouching their knees. Except Yandu, they look pretty comfortable. Smeg going for the tack here. So we're going to see a tight cross. I think that Yandu is going to have to duck or tack. They're going for the duck now. Jib off. Easy duck. Tech 2 is happy with that little gain. But if it was me, which is the game that we're playing, I think I would keep going if I was Yandu. Stop worrying about Tech 2. They've got a bigger rig. They're going to a different mark. Sail your own race.
100% correct, Liz. And the breeze actually pretty soft, but some little funny grey clouds coming over the hill, so God knows. But
we're on Smeg now. It's really light. They've been sending their bowmen in and out, so they'd be pretty unhappy with that. But, it has been the right decision for them to go little rig, obviously. They've been in control, and I think, speaking to Coco a bit earlier, the goal was to keep the stick in the sky, and they're doing that with no problems at all today. So they're coming up to the ley line, probably got another 150 metres to go, and then they'll flick. So pretty light. We'll see them try to set the chute one and in, but it is light, so we may have to actually see a jibe compared to the first lap.
no, Liz, I think the breeze far enough right, they'll be straight down. But pretty soggy though, isn't it?
Real light. All crouched, waiting for a little bit of apparent to build there. But comfortable lead. Tech 2 actually going hard on that western shore at the moment. Trying to find a little bit more pressure, it seems, as there's definitely not much over here. There's a lot of haze in the sky today and weird clouds, so we're really not getting that thermal build that we all know and love at Sydney Harbour. These guys absolutely cruising, just trying to make sure they don't have those big stuffs in the lull. Don't want to get too much wind heel or get too excited.
Yeah, and then, maybe the rig's still a little bit hard, perhaps, so you haven't gone to full soft, which they should have. But funny old day, isn't it? Jib trimmed very solid. Wow. Just that one.
Just cruising up here. What we've got big changes in pressure and in angle, so it is pretty tricky for them to navigate these waters.
But at least looking at it, downwind VMG, reciprocal exactly nearly to this in this sort of condition, right? So straight down the middle, straight at centre point. Not quite, but you know what I'm saying. Not too much time needed to be spent on starboard jibe on this run, I don't think.
Here we go. They're tacking and getting set up for the bear away. Very happy. They've just got a nice little downwind to go. Jib off. Nice rounding, keeping it flat. Chute goes flying up. Sheehan goes in, ripping on that kite. And Skipper, happy as Larry, out on the side. Come on, boys, let's send it.
So, for the viewers, 7 seconds kite set. Not bad.
That's how it's done. Yandu is coming in behind us. They've probably got 200 metres to the mark. And Tech 2 soft on the further windward mark, but comfortable in front of Kitchenmaker and Andu, who they rounded the bottom mark with. All eyes on Smeg. Are they going to clear this point? No jibes is Bucko's call.
If they go full VMG, efficient VMG, they should no job. And they're equivocating, you can see. Nice pictures from the drone. Beautiful.
Bent legs, they're not trying to get too high under this point. I think that's what we spoke about before. It's about patience, waiting for that pressure to come and using that pressure to soak right down and just hit that mark with no issues.
Lisa, the landmarks of the harbour, the old story was, if you can get the bow below the white light on the corner of Shark Island, be happy. And the yellow blinker buoy in front of them is not a bad aiming point either.
So Yandu has rounded the mark, kite up, no problems. They have closed the gauge on Smeg compared to last lap, but I don't think they're going to catch them. We've got Tech 2 just rounding their windward mark, kite flying up, so it is going to be all on to chase this last downwind. For them to catch up, I think they've got a bit on. What do you reckon, Bucko? Any chance Tech 2 to hit Yandu by the bottom?
Difficult. There might be some action on the bottom reach, but it's going to be a VMG run. I think Yandu's got a bit of luck here again. They've come around the mark on the face of a puff.
Better to be lucky than good, right?
Oh, no, it always was, yeah. It always was. So they're looking pretty cruisy, aren't they? But, you know, it'll be very tight into the jibe mark on the southern end of Shark Island, so...
Especially with that big rig, you know, we saw them struggle on the overlay. Tech 2 struggle on that overlay compared to the little rig. So it could be interesting. There was actually quite a close distance between Tech 2 and Yandu at the top, so they are tussling out. But all eyes are on Yandu, who are leading the championship, and in this position they will take out the spring championship, which they'll be very happy with.
Yeah. So if he was off in the distance, not quite in shot, you can see Smeg in the background. Perhaps, no, we can't. What we're looking at is Lazarus Capital
drone
Partners.
footage now. You can see that little speck of white spinnaker in front of Yandu, and that is Smeg. So it will be a tight rounding around Shark Island, but we saw them navigate it with no issues last time.
Yeah, and no jibe for Smeg, so gone, which makes it a pretty quick race.
So we're just going to hang out here as we see the leaders go off in the distance, and we'll watch a few more boats come past us and call who is who and where they're sitting in the race. We're on the final downwind run of race 7. Smeg
aimed at the middle of the island.
might not be enough. They're fully lit up down there.
Yeah, and they're now, three strings trying to press up to the mark.
We're going to have Tech 2 go past us any moment. There we go on our screen. It's very soft under this point. It's about being patient, legs bent, and getting around the point, and then it's full send to the turning mark.
So Tech 2 a little bit unlucky there. A lull coming with them down the course. And it tends to happen a bit that if you round in the lull, you go downwind with the lull.
So Tech 2 making that point, no problem. They will be 1 and into this jibe mark. So no jibe, no problem for these guys. We'll follow them down and try catch up with the leaders and let them show us how it is done. Tech 2 on their ear there, getting in that pressure that they've been waiting for. They are going to have a tight one on Shark Island as well, but you know, they know how to sail this boat up on its ear, roll the kite on, roll the kite and get over that island. So Smeg, no problem making that island. So the wind seems to be bending a little bit. You soak right down to the island, bends, and it gets a bit lighter, so you're going to be able to come up. We're just chasing them down now, as you can see. It is pretty light down there. Yandu is sending their sheet hand in at times for those lulls. So no problem to make it around the island for them. They're actually a little bit underlays, so they'll be happy as just cruising and just keeping the boat upright for the finish. No pressure on them here.
Yep, and they're still in VMG mode. Oh, and they're in a lull. Nothing could go wrong, could it? No.
Just keep everybody on the boat. Stick in the sky. He knows what he's doing though.
And a big powerboat wake causing him a bit of grief.
They're about to go into a big lull, so they're going to see it really heat up here and maybe even have someone go in. Bend your legs, coming up hard. It's just really puffy out here on the harbour today, really struggling with that on and off pressure. So all eyes are out of the boat, making sure that you don't come unstuck. And Smeg is showing us how it's done, keeping it smooth, taking the depth when they've got it, and heating it up when they need to. So they haven't jibed directly around the mark. They've decided to go for a couple of 100 metres, which seemed to work last time. Got Yandu behind us, no worries. They're out of that lull patch, and we are chasing down Smeg for you, so we'll have them on your screen soon. They're just jibing, and they're going to have a pretty tight run down here, I'd say, to the finish.
No, enough. This is a VMG run, they'll be okay. They might even need another little jibe back on the port, I think. It's not that windy, is it? Either.
It's sort of evaporating as the day has gone on rather than build. But yeah, as I said earlier, there's a lot of haze in the sky, and that could be stopping the thermals. So all eyes are on Smeg, just relax at the moment, waiting for that gust to come, not sort of rushing anything at the moment. They're well in front. They've got nothing to stress about. Just perched on the side, ready for anything. But really light under Shark Island. Expecting another couple 100 metres, they might hook into some pressure, but a little bit slower pace than before.
Yeah, no, very soft behind the pine trees on the island.
Yandu has jibed exactly on Smeg's line, so it is quite a bit of a procession here.
There's agreement about the right track to follow, yeah. It's all good.
So all we've got out on trapeze at the moment is the bowman trimming that chute. Skipper is bent right in, and sheet hand is ready for anything. Soon we're going to hope that they heat up and build some apparent, and I think they're going to get pressure in about 15 seconds.
Yeah, so they're now just getting towards the clear air from the other side of Shark Island, the effective jibe mark. Here they go, a little bit more pressure, but not too much of a header. One more jibe to the finish, Lisa, I think you'll find. And looking behind us, not on screen, but similar behind, and the separation between Tech 2 and Yandu is about 40 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, Tech 2's not going to really have a chance to catch them on this VMG mode, I don't think. And it's so light behind that island.
Yep.
Really nice pressure coming in about 20. We should see them light up here. Helm is getting ready to go out. We've got a few yachts in the way just to keep things interesting, but they should get a big down here and good pressure.
And they're about to impale a catamaran.
Yeah, we'll see a huge luff here to get over the top of them, even though that's not really how you want to do it, but easy cross, little lull behind them.
What are you guys thinking? A cruising catamaran on port. Wow, and look how much east that is. It's a huge lift. Unusual, highly unusual.
So we'll probably see them go for about another 30 and then jibe to the finish. Try hook in a little bit of pressure for the jibe, which it is coming down, but there isn't much to jibe into at the moment. So I think they'll really push to the ley line. One and in. As you can see, he's looking under the boom at the moment, trying to pick a perfect lay, which I'm sure they'll do.
No, it gets confusing when you're under range for the rig. The angle gets wider.
Yeah. Plenty of time to think today about what they're going to do. Bit of pressure building in about 5. Behind us, Yandu and Smeg exactly on, Yandu and Tech 2 exactly on our line. Smeg going for the jibe. No problems there. Heating her up. And it's going to be a pretty nice lay and good pressure for the downwind.
Yep.
Just to keep things interesting, they've got a yacht coming at them, seeing as they've got no other 18s to race right now, but clear cross on the yacht. No avoiding. One and in, straight to the pin, no issues.
A little overstood, perhaps, Lisa.
Probably better to be a little bit over in this stuff than under. Don't want to have to do another jibe, and it's a comfortable overlay.
That's right. No, nice. Actually nice.
straight through the middle.
Well, straight out the committee boat now, but if they went VMG mode, they'd be down towards the leeward end, and heated up, they can get up to the boat. So
Here we go, Smeg crossing the line to win race 7. They'll be very happy with that, winning basically from the top mark to the finish. Here we go, crossing the line now. Behind us we have Yandu, who has just jived for the finish. Well done, Smeg. There's the horn. It's official. Winners of race 7.
So Michael Coxon, Ricky Bridge, Trent Barnabas in the bow. Pretty good combination.
They've
And
been there before.
they've been there before, exactly. They've won a few races between them.
All eyes are on Yandu now, coming into the finish. They're a little bit tight on the ley line here. They won't have to jibe, but they may have to soak. They'll be really happy with this performance, and they've had a pretty good first 7 races of the season.
Yeah, it's again a bit unfair, but they've sailed pretty well today, actually, considering they didn't start well. Whereas Smeg started pretty cleverly. Yandu was in the second row, kind of thing. So
Yeah, very happy with that. And there they go, taking second place, just absolutely chilling across the line. There's the horn, and winners of the Spring Championship. Behind us in about 30 seconds, we're going to have Tech 2 cross the line. Also sailed an impeccable race tactically, and all their manoeuvres were pretty slick.
only one glitch, a little overlay at the bottom of the VMG run.
Didn't really cost them that much in the end.
Well, probably 20 seconds or so.
Do you reckon they could have caught Yandu?
I do, actually. Without that,
There
they
you
probably
go.
would have caught Yandu. But it wouldn't make any difference to the result of the
Final, yeah.
spring championship. So there we go. But
Very well sailed by them.
another pretty convincing performance from Tech 2.
Are they the ones to watch for the rest of the season?
They are setting the bar pretty high.
And we have a big gap to the rest of the fleet. The RAG has actually held on to their position quite nicely. I thought the Kitchen Maker might get them, but the RAG is coming in hot here in really nice pressure. They're on lay for the finish, might have to do a little bit of a soak, but doubt they're going to get caught by anyone. Once you round that top mark, it's pretty much a procession around the course. So the upwinds were really where things were made today.
Yeah, not enough wind for visits to the riding lever, and so downwind not much happened except the first time into the jibe mark. Yep. A bit
After
of action
the first
there.
lap, everybody knows what to do, right?
Oh, I'm not sure about that. Not sure about
Here we
that.
go.
But yeah, our favourite out of the boats going to the shortest mark has got the chocolates in the division, but
Yeah.
4th overall.
Bucko calling them today. There we go, across the line, the RAG. Got to be happy with that. Next, we have the Kitchen Maker coming in.
Kitchen Maker next, yeah. So on the RAG, Anthony Young, Otto Henry, as mentioned, a young Oppie sailor getting a bit of a graduation. Good on him. And Pete Nicholson in the bow. Pistol Pete, mechanical engineer of some notoriety, fireman. I don't think he's got anything to do with the hoses though, Lisa. I think he's involved with structural integrity of buildings that are on fire and other tricky matters. And so shaping up for 5th here is Andu, and they've
6th.
been a bit wobbly. They've been a bit wobbly on the corners, haven't they?
Yeah, might have to work on their crew work a little bit, but not sure who's on that boat if it's a fresh team, and they're playing with some new people up at the front.
Well, Geronimo Harrison, the bow's relatively new to the 18s, but Marcus Ashley Jones pretty experienced. Cam Gundy also pretty experienced, and Geronimo the only.
Well, that experience showed at the Shark Island where they nearly tipped it over but managed to pull it through. So here we go, Andu coming across the line now.
Correct weight. So Tommy, I think we're going to get the ribbon ceremony off the ferry. Woody's going to get the ribbon.
So after winnings, we go into the start-finish boat, the champagne. Yeah.
Okay.
So the next big rig is coming in now. They really battled at the beginning of the day with this big rig, but it's sort of paying dividends in this last race with winning group coming across the line now, fully lit up, enjoying the final send across the finish. And this is in for 6th place.
Yeah, they didn't look too comfortable up the beat, did they? So they've been torched by amongst others, probably Tech 2. Tech 2 pretty compelling with the big rig.
Can you go over to Yandu? This is champagne. Yes, on Yandu.
The winning group, and looking back now, not on screen, but Finport's going to get 7th, and they a bit of struggling with the little rig in.
So all eyes are on Yanzu at the moment, and that is because they have won the Spring Championship with a very convincing finish today. We've got a champagne moment coming up. Here we go. A little bit of skill, grabbing the grog, no problem there. They know how to do that.
So the bowman, Mike Kennedy, he'd be the one to grab it. Young fella, he's just the wrong side of 50, so perhaps the oldest bowman in the fleet. Bit of a miracle, really.
Here we go, spraying the champagne. Congratulations to them, having a well-deserved drink after quite a nice day on the water.
All pretty good. And Jasper Warren giving it a good shot. So pretty close then, the last bit of the fleet though, yes?
Yeah, we've got Finport, Noakes, Shaw and partners have just crossed the line. Lazarus is having a tight finish with, I can't quite see who, but yeah, very close with that final 5.
Ilvi. And Lazarus is going to get there, yep, 10th.
I think Elvie may have got them, but it was a bit of a photo finish there.
A photo finish for 10th, okay.
Yeah,
we'll call
so what are the top 10?
We'll call it that, okay. So, top 10. 1, Smeg. 2, Yandu. 3, Tech 2. 4, Rag & Famish. 5, Andu. 6, Winning Group. 7, Finport Finance. 8, Noakes Sailing. 9, Shore and Partners. We called it tie for 10th, 11th, Lazarus Capital Partners, and Ilve. A good day on the harbour. And apologies to the viewers for the little issues at the beginning of the telecast where we didn't quite get there at the start. Very interesting first beat. Another thing that we did want to note that thank Tommy Woodcock today for driving. Equally, we appreciate feedback from viewers, but note, that the sponsors, Winning Group, keen to propel improvement, which may involve things like onboard cameras, tracking, and other innovation. Today's a bit of a one-off. A range of initiatives will be trialled between now and Christmas. We might need a bigger boat, a bit like a movie with some sharks in it, but we're looking forward to that. So. Lisa, a good and beautiful day on the Camera Cat. You brought nice weather. It's the driest we've been for quite some time.
Would have liked to bring you a bit more breeze, but we'll take dry weather over too much breeze. I think change of pace was nice for the sailors.
And a strange bit of weather, really. Unlikely. Breeze rotation back to the right and fading rather than building. So the models were wrong. I was wrong also. But
all the locals were wrong.
but all the fleet except 2 boats with small rigs, and Tech 2 sailed very well to nearly get the chocolates from the the worst handicap in the fleet, as it were. So, viewers, been a terrific and pleasant day at Sydney Harbour. The team bringing the show to you today: Jono Whitty, AeroMedia, Piers Hasgard on the big camera, Tommy Woodcock driving, Michael Chittenden trying to keep the cats herded, and Lisa, thanks for your company, and we would look forward to Same time next week, Camera Cat, Sydney Harbour. Thanks for watching.